Hi everyone, I'm Ali GREYMOND. Today I'm continuing to answer questions about OCD recovery. First question is Hi Ali, wanted to know what to do if OCD thoughts disturb sleep. So, okay, first of all, OCD thoughts coming in your sleep or whatever the situations that you are scared of can come in your sleep in whatever way. It can be very vivid, it could be more abstract. It means nothing. Actually, it does mean something. It means that your mind is trying to get your attention by any means necessary. And especially, you will get more of this when you are disregarding, because it means that, if you're not paying enough attention to it in everyday waking life, it's going to try to get you in your sleep just to bring it to your attention. So just like you're disregarding it in real life, disregard it when it comes in the sleep. Not actually when you're sleeping, obviously, but when you wake up and you don't think back to it, don't try to remember, don't try to analyze, well, how did I act? What did I do? All of this kind of stuff. It's just a dream. It doesn't matter. It's OCD choosing to move on. The less attention you give it, the the less it's going to come in. It's just view it as part of the process. It really does happen a lot. If you start to power it up and start to be really scared of it, you're going to continue to get more and more nightmares, because you're saying to your mind, I'm very scared of getting a nightmare, about that has something to do with my OCD. So of course that's what it's going to send you, so you just have to focus and not allow yourself to go there, because it's just not a good idea. Next question is, hi ma'am, I hear that OCD. I'm kind of understanding what you mean, but I also kind of don't understand. I think there was some, you were supposed to put some other word, and then I don't know, it just got misspelled. That I hear that OCD always wants to touch or pet the animal. Is that right? So if you're saying that you feel that it always asks you to do that, or it gives you an urge to do it, choose not to. Right? So you want to always do the opposite of what OCD is telling you to do, because the more you take it, whatever OCD tells you to do, seriously, the worse it's going to get. So it's just, you just have to choose not to. Doesn't matter, I'm disregarding whatever thoughts you're getting. OCD thought, don't care, I'm moving on. That's how you really get through it. So it's just taking a chance on it. It's really not taking a chance, it just feels in the moment like you're taking a chance. Next question is, um, I have two three questions about the remaining 20% of my OCD, which is kind of stuck. um, Number one, out of my control, out of my comfort zone, which was home, OCD seems to be much worse. um, why is that? What to do? I find that's actually a really, really good question. I find that when people go on vacations, when people go to work, when people are out of their comfort zone, or if they're starting something new, if they move, if they start a new job, that tends to really make OCD, or it has the possibility of making OCD worse. So anticipating it and actually doing exposures on it. So when you're going somewhere where obviously you're going to be away from home, so expecting thoughts to come in and kind of looking at it, okay, thoughts are going to come in. When they do, I'm going to make sure that no matter what, I'm going to disregard. So you're preparing yourself ahead of time. So when it happens, you're like, oh, this is why it came in. It's because I was already anxious about this, that I'm doing something new, blah, 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 right? So you're kind of understanding step by step of why it's happening. That takes some of the fear out, and you have a better chance of disregarding rather than it catching you off guard. Next question is, though anxiety is not there, some compulsions are almost like reflex now, like autopilot. How to stop these? So that again, that happened. That's a good question. Happens to everybody, pretty much. I would say everybody. Um, try to catch them to the best of your ability, and when you do catch them, if there is an opportunity to do the opposite. So say for example, say you out of habit say or do things in a certain number or avoid a certain number, but it's kind of become a habit. Well, choosing not to do that, or if out of, because it kind of becomes like a habit, right? So um, when you do catch yourself, even like write it down afterwards and practice doing the opposite next time. I mean, you just have to show your brain that none of these things really matter, but it is going to be kind of whenever you can catch it. If you can't catch it, then you can't work on it, right? So, but you do need to work on it. So, trying your best to do that. I know that's probably not the most kind of easiest way to to go about these things, right? It's not like it's a very straightforward way, but if you can't catch it, what can you really do? Next question is, with OCD getting better, I am now highly sensitive, very emotional mostly. Is this normal during recovery? Yes, it is normal. It's because basically, the person that gets OCD usually is very sensitive from the beginning. So even before they got OCD, they're very sensitive. Now, their mind is, basically OCD played a havoc with your mind, and you're extremely emotional. So as you're coming out of it and as your mind normalizes, you should become less so. But like I say in all my videos, practicing ERP for daily life as well is very, very important. You want to make sure that you're doing that to keep yourself from slipping back into OCD. And it's the further away from the initial onset of OCD you get in terms of time, um, the less of a chance of having a setback. But it's like if things in your life happen that were unexpected or painful, there's a chance that you might slide back. So, working on the sensitivity. So, whatever you're sensitive to in everyday life, doing ERP for that. No, I'm disregarding. I've done everything I could. Now I'm choosing to disregard, kind of taking it that way. Next question is, what should we do when there's something to actually worry about? Like we get sick or something. Is there a valid reason to be worried? So, for example, here's a good example. If you feel pain, and actually, somebody asked me about sensory motor OCD, so I'm going to cover this as well here. But I am going to do a series of actually videos on sensory motor OCD because I think it's just important to mention. So, um, if you feel, for example, that something is wrong, you feel like, say on a physical level, like you feel not well and you feel like you want to go to the doctor to make sure that everything is okay, it's obviously okay to be checked out and make sure that everything is okay once. If you got checked once and you're feeling anxiety, unless you have a valid reason, it's okay to have a second opinion. But now it's starting to kind of look a little bit OCD-ish. You know, so okay, if there's some sort of a special circumstance, you can get a second opinion, but third opinion, now you're definitely talking OCD. So if you actually feel like there's something wrong, you need to check. It doesn't fall into your regular theme, so you've never had this thought before. It doesn't sound like it's your OCD. Then it's okay to get it checked once, but everything beyond that would be OCD. So say for example, if say you know going with this question of what if there's something wrong, say for example, you always worry where your child is, right? Say your child is not so much a child anymore, they're older, and you always worry and you always call them, but now you feel like this is the time that for sure something happened and you want to call again, chances are that that's OCD, you know because this is a repetitive thing that's been happening over and over again. But if it's something completely new, then you can get it checked out. But again, knowing the limit. Next question is, hi Ali, is it okay to take sleeping medicine such as Ambien to fall asleep and clear the mind at night while doing ERP, or taking sleep medicine as a compulsion in itself? Thanks a lot. I mean, it depends on your situation. I don't really recommend sleep medicine because it's it, I, from talking to clients and hearing their stories, it does kind of play havoc. So I would be extremely careful with it. If you are feeling like, because and also you can have obsessions about sleeping, such as I feel like I'm not sleeping enough, or I feel like I am sleeping too much. So you have to be careful that you don't fall into a pattern where you have to get a certain amount of sleep all the time. You want to make sure that sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less. Everything across the board is okay. And you don't have to take medicine to go to sleep all the time. You know what I mean? So it's, I would say try not to live in absolutes, right? So sometimes yes, it's okay, and sometimes yes, it's warranted, but it just don't make it every time. Be very careful with it. Next question is there an obsession about is there an obsession about what path to take in life? Is it existential OCD? No, existential OCD, again, I'll cover it in a different question, but that's a little bit different. But I mean, the obsession about what path to take in life, that's very common. Because again, this is an important decision, and OCD grabs onto everything that's important. So I would say when you are in an extremely anxious state, um, it's not good to make any kind of a decision that's like very kind of, unless you absolutely have to. um if you do have to, maybe talk to somebody who can help you make that decision, within your family. Not that they should be making a decision for you, but they can help you make decisions based on your real arguments, because they can help you sort it out. um but I usually don't, unless if you can wait. Try to look at it right now for the purpose of recovery from OCD. Try to look at it, okay, it's going to be what it's going to be. I'll see how it goes. I don't have to make a forever decision. Things change, kind of, you know what I mean, like, don't make it absolute final, no turning back. Even like, for example, a lot of students have this problem with uh, you know what career do I take and stuff like this. And you know if if you're older, you know that careers change, paths change. You start out doing one thing, you end up doing another thing. Situations change. I'm obviously a great example of how that can happen to a person. So not living in absolutes. I think that that's really kind of a good stance for any type of OCD, because with OCD, we want to make sure that everything is um, perfect, everything is exactly how it should be. And life is kind of not really like that. Life is messy, right? So then you start to really analyze, well, what if that's the right decision? What if I make the wrong one? What if I'm not doing what I need to do in life? All these kinds of things. And you can't allow yourself to analyze. I'm doing what I'm doing. It's going to be how it's going to be. Choosing to move on right now, because you need your mind to calm down. You need your mind to unplug from this fear in order to be able to make a rational decision. If you do have to make a decision on what you need to do in the future. Next question is, um, how can I know if I'm doing an exposure or reassurance? For instance, one of my fears is that I will leave my family. Sometimes I tell my baby that I will never leave him, and I feel a rush of anxiety. If an action triggers an anxiety, does this indicate that it's an exposure, or am I just trying to reassure myself that I'm not leaving? So, here we're talking about exposure and response prevention. So, you are doing the exposure, but in terms of response prevention, you're not doing so. The thought itself is the exposure. So what if I leave my family, or I feel like I want to leave my family, or I have an urge to leave my family? That's the exposure. Now, anybody who has OCD has exposures. That's just called being an OCD. But what do you do with that exposure? Are you going to take it seriously? Are you going to analyze? Are you going to get reassurance? Anything you do to try to make yourself feel better in the moment is reassurance. So instead of doing exposure and response prevention, you're doing exposure and reassurance. So instead of training your mind that when faced with this situation, with this trigger, the thoughts don't matter. I'm going to disregard. They're not important. You're saying they're very important. I'm very scared. I'm really trying to protect myself by doing reassurance. So that's why you can't do reassurance, because it sends the wrong message to the mind, pushing it to give you more of these thoughts in the future. And that's why the endless cycle continues, right? So you have to say, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And when kind of being almost like sarcastic about it. I find if you can find the strength to do that, that would be great. So saying, of course I'm going to leave, I'm going to leave everybody, or and then I'll go have another family, then I'll leave them too, and so on and so forth, right? And kind of making like a joke out of it every time it comes in, even if you feel like you're faking it, even if you don't feel like it's a joke right in the moment, still taking that stance on it. But in short, anything that's done with fear would be reassurance. Next question is, I often get memories of my life before OCD, followed by feelings of sadness, frustration, and anger. Can you give me some advice on how to overcome with those feelings? You have to look at it the same that, or you have to take it the same that you take your actual OCD thoughts. I'm not buying it. I can't get caught up in the thought, because it's, again, negative signal that you're sending to the brain. You're sending a signal that something is not okay, something is not right here, and your brain, it gets pushed to give you more of these thoughts in the future. So the obsessing about the recovery is just as much of a theme as whatever theme you had previous to that, you know so anything that you are thinking about repeatedly with negative feelings, it might not be anxiety per se, but anxiety or sadness, you know, it's all, it might not exactly be classified as OCD if you're just feeling sad about the situation, but it's still not how you should be feeling. It's still training your brain the wrong way, and it's not a good idea. So I'm going to recover. I'm choosing to view the situation that I'm going to recover. I'm choosing to disregard and push forward. And with that choice, you are going throughout your day. You're sticking to, okay, I had this plan to do this throughout the day. That's what I'm doing. It doesn't really matter what it is, as long as that was your plan and you're sticking with the plan. That's the last question I have for today. I do have many, many more, and I will be back with part three and perhaps part four. So if I haven't answered your question, please just be patient. If there's just a lot, if you want to ask an additional question, you still have the opportunity. Please leave it below that same video. If you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please subscribe. As you know, or maybe not know, I do daily videos. If you would like to do a one-on-one recovery program, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.